The film opens with a wife, Amelia, who has recurring nightmares of the car accident that killed her husband, Oscar. This indicates that she suffers from severe post-traumatic stress disorder, also commonly known as PTSD, which has been triggered by Oscar's unpredicted death. She's woken up by her son, Samuel, who's haunted by his own demons. She helps him look under the bed and in the closet to assure there's no one. She then puts Samuel to sleep by reading him a bedtime story. The next morning, Samuel wakes up early to test the weapons he's made. The child's distorted mental health can be further observed by the insects he's killed and displayed in glass cubes. Amelia goes to work, revealing that she's a hospital nurse working in the old people's ward. She's contacted by the principals from Samuel's school, who have found his crossbow that he sneaked into school. Unlike Amelia, they find the discovery rather disturbing and too violent for Samuel's age, so they temporarily suspend him. Devastated, she brings him along with her. After stopping by a grocery store and a play date in the park, she brings him back home. After a silent dinner, Amelia reads Samuel a story to put him to sleep. Only this time, Samuel hands her a book called Mr. Babadook. According to the story, the Babadook is a creature that appears friendly and has a funny disguise. It further unveils that once someone is made aware of the Babadook, the creature haunts its victim. The book contains images of the Babadook as an entity with a top hat, long claws, and a freaky smile as he tells his victim to let him in. Samuel freaks out and begins crying, so Amelia switches the book and places the Babadook 1 on the top shelf. She watches some TV and goes to bed, but Samuel bothers her once again, claiming that the Babadook is in his room. She lets him sleep in her bed. The next day, when Amelia leaves for her job, she drops Samuel at her sister Claire's home. After entertaining the old patients, she goes to pick Samuel up, only to find an angry Claire cradling her daughter Ruby after Samuel scared her with his Babadook talk. Amelia tries to convince him that the Babadook is not real, but Samuel gets angry and bursts a firecracker in front of her. His grumpy and inexcusable behavior can be directly linked with the death of his father and its impact on Samuel's mind. At home, Samuel sets up a trap in the basement for the Babadook while Amelia cooks. She receives her colleague at the door. In front of him, Amelia gets into a childish argument with Samuel. For a grown woman like Amelia to argue with a literal child showcases how dysfunctional they are as a family, as well as Amelia's vulnerable and unorthodox parenting skills. While having dinner, Amelia discovers shards of glass that are only in her food bowl. When Amelia returns to her room, she finds her picture with Oscar, whose face has been scratched out with a red pen. This goes to show that she's fallen in the first stage of her mental breakdown, which is followed by doubts. Samuel refuses to have scratched the picture and decides to fight the Babadook. His protectiveness of his mother projects that he doesn't want to lose her on his watch, since he thinks he couldn't save his father. The following night, Samuel feels a presence in his closet. He takes his weapon and gets ready to face it, but Amelia hears his screams. She runs to his room and sees that he is scared and hiding under the bed. Now Amelia gets very upset by this and tears the book of Babadook and dumps it in a dustbin. She brings him to her bed and also decides to take him to Ruby's birthday party for a change of mind. As Amelia catches up with Claire and her friends, Samuel's temperament issues are highlighted when he's unable to handle the mockery from Ruby in her treehouse about him having daddy issues and fearing a fictional character. He ends up pushing her out of the treehouse, which breaks her nose. Claire grabs her daughter and yells at Amelia. On the way home, Samuel starts screaming and yelling about the Babadook until he has a seizure. Seeing this, Amelia gets scared and takes him to the hospital. The doctor diagnoses that his fixation with the Babadook has taken a toll on his mind. He advises her to consult a psychologist. Instead, she prescribes sleeping pills for Samuel until she fixes an appointment with the psychologist. She gives him the pill and sleeps well that night. The next morning, Amelia's doubts take the next form and harbor into paranoia as she hears the door get knocked twice and the Babadook book placed on the porch. now fully restored. Upon reading it, she finds more graphic content, which is twice as horrifying as before. It implies the psychological fact that the more Amelia denies the existence of the Babadook, the stronger it gets. It then shows pop-up images of Amelia strangling Samuel and then slitting her own throat. Mortified by the thought of such an absurdity, she burns the book on the grill. Simultaneously, she gets an anonymous call. A croaky voice says Babadook in the freakiest way possible and hangs up. Now paranoid, she files a complaint in the police station about someone stalking her. When she returns home, she finds roaches in her kitchen coming from a hole in the wall behind the fridge. Later, 2 inspectors arrive to check on the state of Amelia's home and how Samuel is doing. She mentions the roach infestation, but when she goes to show the inspectors, the hole in the wall seems to have disappeared, which makes her look like the crazy one. At night, while trying to sleep, Amelia hears thumping in the hall and scratching at the door. She opens the door and her dog, Percy, runs in. It gets worse when the door opens by itself, while the eerie noises continue to haunt her. When Amelia looks up, the Babadook slithers up to the ceiling and briefly reveals its terrifying face before coming close to Amelia. She instantly grabs Samuel and goes downstairs. She forces herself to stay awake and guard Samuel by watching TV. Instead, she falls into a hallucinating state of mind, during which she sees Babadook on TV. The night turns into morning, but she doesn't realize it as she's completely zoned out and deprived of sleep. She calls in sick at work and decides to sleep. Samuel tries to bother her, asking for something to eat. She yells at him to eat his own crap, which traumatizes Samuel. She immediately apologizes and takes him out to eat. This showcases the chain of mental disorders in Amelia, which have also made her bipolar towards her son. On the drive home, they hear a thumping on the car roof and the same croaking and freaky sound saying, Babadook. Amelia accidentally hits another car and then flees the scene, begging the question if her fear has manifested and brought Babadook into the real world. At home, when Samuel sees that Amelia's condition is getting worse, he tells her to call Claire, but Amelia refuses. At night, when Amelia is trying to sleep, she senses a presence around her. When she goes out to check, she finds Samuel in the kitchen trying to call their old neighbor, Gracie. Amelia snatches the phone from him and assures Gracie there's nothing to worry about. Samuel tries to convince her that all this is being done by the Babadook. Amelia does not listen to him and leaves while aggressively waving a knife at Samuel without realizing it, revealing she's blacking out and can be a threat to her own son. She forces Samuel to take the pills, so he only pretends to swallow them. As she struggles to sleep, the line between reality and imagination blurs out. She sees Samuel covered in blood, and she holding the knife. Panicking, she puts back the knife in the drawer and goes back upstairs. Now fully demented, she comes downstairs and watches the news, featuring her as the murderer who stabbed her son to death. After this, she hears some voices and goes to the basement, where she sees Oscar, who's long dead. This expresses that she's given in to her delusions and is slowly becoming schizophrenic. Oscar tells her that if she wants to be with him forever, she will have to bring her child to him. She quickly figures it's the creepy Babadook and ends up hiding out of fear. Babadook reaches her there too and attacks her. After this, while she is watching TV, Percy starts to bark at her. This enrages her, and she chases it into the kitchen where she wrings its neck. This scene describes Amelia's complete mental breakdown, who has now become a lunatic. She now starts pounding at the door while yelling, "Let me in a demonic voice. Samuel understands that she is not his mother, but the freaky Babadook, and he does not open the door. But then, Amelia breaks in and rises to attack him. Samuel bursts a firecracker again and flees. In these scenes, it can be concluded that Oscar's death had made Amelia more vulnerable and fragile. In the next scene, Gracie comes to the door, but Amelia pretends to be normal and sends her away. Samuel encounters her once again, and upon realizing she's still deluded, He lures her to the basement and into her trap, where he attacks her and knocks her out. When Amelia regains consciousness, Samuel claims that he is aware that she has called the Babadook, so only she can get him out of her. Instead, Amelia frees her hands and strangles Samuel, but her maternal instincts kick in soon, and she pushes him away. She tries to get the Babadook out of her, causing her to regurgitate an inky black substance which presumably expels the Babadook. The two are going upstairs when the creature pulls Samuel upstairs into the room, and Amelia runs after him. She sees Oscar again in the room with his sliced-off head from the accident. The Babadook starts to pull Samuel toward itself again, but Amelia holds him back. Its shadowy form then starts appearing, with wings protruding from itself. Amelia holds her son and threatens to kill the Babadook if it touches her son. The Babadook falls to the floor with its clothes lying there. Amelia approaches it, and it rises in a blinding white light while letting out a blood-curdling scream. It retreats to the cellar and locks the door behind it. It's a figurative projection of Amelia defeating her own mental problems to protect her son. Days later, the inspectors return to find that things seem normal. Amelia puts up decorations for Samuel's birthday, which she admits to the inspectors that she hasn't celebrated on the exact day since her husband died. After the inspectors leave, Amelia and Samuel are outside eating. Amelia then takes a bowl of dirt and worms and brings it to the basement. The Babadook now lives in the basement, powerless and unable to torment Amelia anymore. It pulls the bowl of worms into the shadows. This is a visual representation of how she's managed to suppress and lock away her mental disorders in the darkest pits of her mind, to become sane again for Samuel. As Amelia returns outside to be with Samuel, the film ends. I am sure you liked the story recap. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more amazing recaps like that.